Kings are a strange idea. At some point, humans looked at another human and decided he deserved the palace, the army, the taxes, and the fancy chair. Then everyone else was expected to call him Your Majesty. But for most of human history, there were no kings. Our ancestors lived in small groups where an arrogant leader could be mocked, ignored, abandoned, or simply left behind. So how did humans get from, "don't boss me around," to kneel? The answer isn't one genius inventing a crown. Kingship emerged when stored wealth, permanent settlements, warfare, religion, administration, and inheritance began reinforcing each other. But underneath them was one deeper invention: obedience that could survive the person demanding it. In mobile communities, ambitious people had a serious problem. People could leave. If someone demanded too much food or acted like everyone else existed to serve him, the group could laugh, refuse to cooperate, or walk away. Mobility was political power. You cannot easily tax people who have disappeared into the forest. Human societies were never perfectly equal. Age, family, fighting ability, ritual knowledge, personality, and resources all created differences. But there was a huge gap between having influence and having an inherited office. A king needs durable power, not "people listen to Kevin because Kevin knows where the animals are." More like, Kevin controls land, food, armed followers, rituals, and somehow his son inherits everything. That requires a different world. And humans slowly built it. People began returning to the same places. They harvested plants, domesticated animals, built permanent houses, and stored food. Suddenly, wealth could stay in one location. A hunter's reputation disappears when he dies. A granary does not. Neither does a field, a herd, or a valuable house. Once wealth became attached to places, leaving became expensive. Your crops were here. Your animals were here. Your family was here. Your future was here. Humans had spent ages learning how to escape ambitious individuals. Then we built villages, and ambition finally got an address. Agriculture did not instantly create kings. It created surplus. Surplus could be stored, guarded, redistributed, borrowed, stolen, or exchanged for labor. Imagine one family has several great harvests while another struggles. The successful family can lend grain, receive labor, acquire animals, or build obligations that last beyond the original crisis. Nobody has invented a palace yet, but power is becoming sticky. That sounds like progress. It was. But it also created management. As settlements grew, water systems needed maintenance, food stores needed protection, trade needed organization, and disputes needed decisions. Someone had to coordinate all of this. At first, authority could remain temporary or divided. A ritual specialist might lead ceremonies. A warrior might command during conflict. A wealthy household might control important resources. The dangerous part was that these advantages could reinforce each other. Food supports followers. Followers protect food. Prestige attracts alliances. Alliances create marriages. Marriages create heirs. Heirs inherit property, relationships, and status. Power stops resetting when the powerful person dies. Then violence enters the story. Permanent settlements were valuable targets. Grain could be raided. Animals could be stolen. Fertile land could be conquered. Trade routes could be attacked. In dangerous environments, stronger leadership can suddenly look useful. A successful war leader can gather followers, distribute captured wealth, and protect the settlement. If he keeps winning, temporary authority can become a permanent job. By around 3200 BCE, southern Mesopotamia shows this transformation dramatically. Uruk had monumental buildings, specialized workers, trade networks, religious institutions, and huge amounts of administration. Then humans found a solution to a new problem. They started writing things down. Some of the earliest writing from Uruk is not poetry. It is paperwork. Grain, animals, labor, rations, officials. Civilization invented bureaucracy before it perfected literature. A tablet can remember who owes grain. An administrator can enforce it. An institution can preserve it. We should be careful, though. Uruk does not give us a neat first king moment. But later, cities such as Kish, Lagash, and Uruk became competing political centers. Power had become visible. But now comes the hardest question. Why did people accept it? Archaeology can show us the palace. It is much harder to show us why ordinary people agreed to live under it. There is no surviving document explaining why Kevin became king. So scholars have several possibilities. One is warfare. But warfare alone cannot explain hereditary kingship. Plenty of societies fought without creating dynasties. Another possibility is economic control. Then there is religion. And this is where kingship becomes much more powerful. A leader claiming divine approval can turn force into legitimacy. A soldier can make you obey while standing beside you. A sacred order can make obedience feel necessary even when the soldier is gone. Rulers could sponsor temples, lead rituals, claim divine favor, and present themselves as guardians of cosmic order. You were no longer simply obeying a powerful man. You were participating in what you were told was the proper structure of the universe. And maybe centralized leadership sometimes solved real problems. Large settlements needed water systems, walls, trade regulation, labor coordination, and dispute resolution. People may sometimes have accepted inequality because centralized authority produced benefits they could not easily create alone. That makes early states complicated. A ruler could protect a city and exploit its people. Organize irrigation and demand labor. Defend a population and collect tribute. There was probably never one universal road to monarchy. So maybe, who invented kings is the wrong question. Kingship was not invented like the wheel. It emerged when different forms of power locked together. Economic power, military power, ritual power, administrative power, family power. Each could exist separately. But once enough concentrated around one person, household, or office, something new appeared. A leader no longer had to prove his authority every morning. His position could become normal, then traditional, then sacred, then hereditary. That is the real turning point. People stopped asking why this person ruled. They started explaining why this family was supposed to rule. Power had become a story. And the most successful rulers made that story cosmic. In Mesopotamia, kings increasingly presented themselves as chosen or protected by the gods. The famous Sumerian king list makes the idea wonderfully direct. Kingship descended from heaven. That is impressive political branding. Not, our family seized control. Heaven did it. Please direct complaints upward. Monuments did the same thing physically. Then inheritance solved another enormous problem. Every ruler eventually dies. But if authority belongs to a bloodline, succession becomes easier. Akkadian king Naram-Sin pushed this even further. During his reign, he adopted divine status. He is taller, higher, closer to the heavens. Ancient propaganda understood visual hierarchy long before cameras existed. But the deepest achievement of kingship was not convincing people that one ruler was special. It was making the office itself feel necessary. The institution became woven into everyday life. You have invented a feedback loop wearing jewelry. And now comes the real breakthrough. The king could die without the system dying. Personal dominance had become an institution. The crown became bigger than the head wearing it. A ruler could be buried. His office remained. His dynasty remained. His bureaucracy remained. His successor could step into the same role and inherit the same legitimacy. That is why kingship mattered so much. It created a way for authority to survive individual human beings. The modern world is obviously not an ancient kingdom. Probably. But we still understand something ancient kings helped develop. An institution can hold authority beyond the lifetime of any individual. The office remains. That is the strange legacy of the crown. Kings were not simply people with better furniture. They were early experiments in turning personal power into abstract, transferable power. So when you see a crown behind museum glass, you are not really looking at old jewelry. You are looking at a technology for making power outlive the person who first held it. And that brings us back to the original absurdity. Why did that guy get the palace, the army, the taxes, and the fancy chair? At first, because he was powerful. Later, because he controlled resources. Then, because institutions supported him. Then, because tradition explained him. But eventually, the strangest thing happened. People stopped asking about the guy. They started believing in the chair.